It's an old book. Careful with the pages. Sheesh, customers sure love that. Good then. Mm-hmm. As much as you like, then.
let's have a look-see. If you see Harriet on your travels, please give her my worst regards.
Kurde, chwila. Завтра 15. Водой. Воскресенье 1. Понедельник 10. Неділя.
Hello, you look hungry.
1 мая, 2 мая,
I'm here most days.
Курил. Бачу. Аліса.
Вот это манты. Дырка. Ледяна дыркой. 20 сантиметров.
Fine looking animal you got there, my friend.
Так вот. Ты, как хозяю я. Ты ж должна командовать, хозяювать,
Я командувала. Ти
контролировать.
мені сказав,
А ты 3 раза
не
дали.
лізь сюди. Я сам знаю, я сам. Я не лізь. Та бо я ж тут.
Я ж не...
А
Я-
ти й
У
казав.
тебе одні
Я
нараки.
знаю, коли мені
Ну, в
треба.
мене
Я
все
знаю, коли я.
Косенька,
Я сам знаю.
мовчи, Кась.
Чесник треба зараз, бо він старий. Кажу.
А, у нього руки є, і він прямо так риє. Холодно тут.
маю тут слухати? Я тут закрила двері.
І ні.
I'm so glad you came. Thank you.
Seems your efforts have not been entirely in vain, but have produced some rather surprising results. Well, not surprising, but...
Confusing. Confusing. After castigating me as a widow, a harlot, a fool, a mad woman, anything and everything, suddenly, shortly after we killed his brother-in-law, Amos Lansing wants to talk. He sent word via an intermediary.
Mr. Jones.
Even that crazy old fool said not to trust any of it.
Which is why we need you. You're to help keep Mrs. Leclerc protected during the meeting at Blackwater.
I shouldn't imagine they would kill us in broad daylight, but you never know. I never imagined they'd kill my husband, nor turn me into a fugitive. Anyway, friends, shall we go? Today may go any number of ways, but I want to make sure once the shooting starts, all of them end up dead.
One of you drive the wagon, the other keep guard.
Thank you. All of you. This means... well, it means something. I don't know exactly what yet, but...
I don't think any of us think Mr. Lansing has become a saint, madam, but perhaps we should hear him out.
perhaps.
Would you kindly take us to Blackwater?
I do confess this is a most strange appointment.
Like I said, I would be much more comfortable going as your emissary, ma'am.
And I said I wanted to hear what he had to say. To look him in the eye when he was saying it.
Is that all you want?
Let's just see. When we get there, you decent folk can stay by my side. Or you can look over the meeting from some vantage point. All had a hand in putting you away. And setting you up for the gallows, too. With that in mind, I hope you trust me to act in all our interests here.
Think of your self-interest too, ma'am. Your safety. I'm sure we're all concerned with that.
Oh, Mr. Hawley, I'll be fine. We all shall. It's them who won't. Should things head that way.
just over here. So, the meeting is this way.
In the middle of town. Of course. Very good, Mr. Lansing. Tells everyone he's the boss now. Keeps me from acting too crazy.
No, just make sure we aren't both killed.
Come along, Mr. Hardy.
They're here!
Take this. I'll be back. Let's go. Hey, hello, darling.
Good to see you, Mr. Lansing.
You too. Jessica! How lovely to see you. Why, it's been
A long time? No, it hasn't. Not compared with all eternity.
Oh, Jessica, I miss Philip every day. It's awful what happened to him. Quite terrible, but you seem... My dear, you seem under the misapprehension that I had something to do with his demise.
You, your wife, or your business partner, at least one of you did, and your brother-in-law. But he's dead.
Well, he was a bad man. I'm glad he was killed.
Sure. It cleans up your mess, doesn't it?
You don't seem quite well, my dear.
I'm not. I am destroyed with grief.
Oh, of course. Yeah, life can be terrible, but... Well, there is a business matter that we need to discuss.
Oh, sure there is.
Well, you see, he and I had an agreement. In the event one of us died, the other took control of the business in exchange for a nominal sum.
You lie, sir.
You signed last year. The document lies with Mr. Shaw there. He also has your money, $500.
My husband's property was worth 100 times that. You thief! You murderous thief!
Madam Leclerc, I will ask you to watch your manners. I have good standing in this town.
Oh, you do you?
I am a man of impeccable morality.
Oh, well, then you have little to fear of death. You god-awful swine!
This is a good spot. Pull up. I'll take it from here. Here are the documents, madam. They were forged.
Of course they were forged.
Here.
I don't need to see them.
No, I don't suppose you do. Although there's
There's Grace Lansing, but she will have to wait. And also, we have to decide how we're gonna clear all our names and extricate ourselves from the mess we have uncovered.
Not sure the state authorities take too kindly to revenge killings, madam.
No, I'm sure they don't. But that's a problem for another day. Because right now, that little plot is over. And my husband has been avenged. My friends, my true friends. I owe you more than words can say. Thank you. And should our paths cross again, and, well, I'm sure they may. But right now, I need to make myself scarce. And I recommend that you all do your best not to get into too much additional trouble. That's your business. My poor husband, he deserves so much better than this, but this is what he got. This is what we all got.
Drive on, Mr. Hawley.
Look at this. Come to see old Jonesy?
horse-ridden some bitch. The law will be interested to hear about this. The law needs to see this.
I guess we're all pretty upset about what happened last time, but hey-ho. Welcome.
You want to dust up? You got it. I'll plug you one, I swear.
I might have something for you. Now, if you'd excuse me.
to my shop. Please, come, look around. Have you used scent blocker before? Can really change a fella's luck out there.
Znaczy,
You know where I am and you change your mind.
Good krzywo.
There you are. What can I do for you? Well, let me know what you want. I'll bring it out. Hey, you getting something for the butcher? Can't do better than this. If it weren't for all the bounties running around New Hanover, I'd be out of business. I sold my old blunderbuss to a bounty hunter last week. That boy's out looking to get someone, that's for sure. Real nice revolver, that.
You know the Schofield, straight and true.
You need anything else, let me know. See ya.
You ain't been through in a while. Got everything you need. Have a look. right, have a think about it. That one is my favorite. Careful out there.
You know what you're looking for? Excellent. I'll get to work. Anything else, just say the word. You won't regret it.
what do you think? Cripps Trading Company is officially up and running. So get out there and do some hunting. Time for us to make our fortune. I need some luxury and repose in my twilight years. If there's a fellow on this green earth that deserves a drink more than me today, I'd like to meet him. Anyway, don't let me keep you. Expanding already? I like it. All right, you know where to find me. Straight to business, huh? I knew I'd pick the right partner. Supplies are looking healthy right now. You know, I was just thinking, it's been years now since I slept with 4 walls around me. And even longer with 4 walls and a roof. But I've never been happier. stocks are looking good. Okay, this'll have to do. We're well stocked for the time being. Supplies are looking healthy right now. Good stuff. Very nice. You know what you're looking for? Let me know if there's anything else you need. We're well stocked for the time being. Supplies are good. I'm a happy man. That's top notch. Excellent. Thank you. Very nice. Supplies are good. I'm a happy man. Good stuff. Beautiful. eyes are good, I'm a happy man. Beautiful. This is good quality. Very nice.
Feature in Red Dead 2.
Whatever brain-dead dev came up with that mechanic is a...
Today I'm going to talk about the most annoying feature in Red Dead 2.
Whatever brain-dead dev came up with that mechanic is a total moron.
This is ruining the game for me.
I hate it too.
Arthur won't stop putting his guns on the damn horse.
The worst part of this game, in my opinion, easily fixable with mods.
Unless you're on console.
Did you find anything for this? I'm starting to hate this game.
If you've played Red Dead Redemption 2 for any stretch of time, you've probably noticed that just keeping your guns on you is somehow harder than any mission in the game. Everyone who's played the game hated this with a passion. Even Nakey Jakey got a little bit heated. I'm not saying this ruins the game or anything, because it doesn't. There's probably some people out there that finish the entire game and never even notice somehow. Speaking of Nakey Jakey, he actually explained how the guns work perfectly in one of his vids.
Oh, you're gonna ride your horse? Hell yeah, brother. We're gonna automatically put Arthur's rifles back on the horse because that's what we think he would do. But don't worry, dude. If you quickly get off your horse after that, we'll just teleport your rifles back onto your back, because in the Old West, they had dark magic. Unless you've been riding the horse for a while and then suddenly hop off to fight some enemies that we just ambushed you with, yeah, then you're gonna have to manually re-equip each rifle by cycling through all the weapons, and oh yeah, we reset what kind of ammo type was loaded into your gun, and oh yeah, we're gonna do this every time.
But if anything, it's actually worse than that, because the guns can also teleport away from you. This video is about why Rockstar made it this way, how it was actually almost perfect, and why it's so annoying the way it currently is. So it might sound weird, but Rockstar actually had very good reasons for doing this. The reason for this, I think, in a word, would be immersion. They wanted to increase the utility of the saddle by making the player interact.
Did I ever tell you I briefly trained as an acrobat in Portugal? I think it's one of the reasons I've stayed so spry. He was a strange man, claimed to be a mute, but talked in his sleep.
The Last of Us Part 2 has made me feel like an insane person for the last couple months. Not necessarily just because of the game itself, no, but because of all the cat piss surrounding it. These two frequently extreme camps of, A, this game is a profound 10 out of 10 masterpiece work of art that belongs in the goddamn Smithsonian. And Camp B, this game broke into my house, it bonked me on my forehead, and physically assaulted me. This video belongs to neither the extreme opinion of 10 out of 10 masterpiece or I'm gonna commit a crime now. So if that's what you're looking for, there are plenty of other dog shit extreme videos on this website that can satisfy that hunger. Trust me, they have existed since long before the game even actually came out. Even though I've always been aware of some of their shortcomings and faults, Naughty Dog's games have consistently provided me with quality entertainment, visual spectacle, and comfort for the past 13 years since I first rented Uncharted 1 at a Hollywood Video, and even longer if you count their PS2 and PS1 games. The first Last of Us is one of my favorite games ever, and I also personally know people that worked on both Part 1 and Part 2 that I am very fond of and very proud of, because they crunched like 1 billion dog years a week to make a thing that looks like this. You know who you are, and I wish I could come to LA and kiss you on your forehead. And I just think it's really important for you to know all that context of me being a pretty big fan of Naughty Dog before I say what I'm unfortunately about to say. I think that while extremely beautiful, technically impressive, and wonderfully accessible, The Last of Us Part 2 is a game that attempts to say a lot of things and asks a lot of questions using the medium of video games, but ultimately remarkably fails to find the language to say much at all, while also being an often outdated and hypocritical parody of itself. I think much like how Red Dead Redemption 2 was the straw to break the back of Rockstar's AAA open world game design camel, The Last of Us Part 2 is the straw to break the back of Naughty Dog's AAA linear game design camel for me. And I also think that when I finished this game, it made me feel very similar to when I finished the game released in 2013. And that game is BioShock Infinite. To anyone that hasn't played these games yet, this is your point of no return. I will be spoiling the absolute living shit out of both Last of Us games and also low-key the ending of Uncharted 4 because there's this really dumb joke that I apparently keeping in. So if you don't want to be spoiled, please perform a high precision first away through a device, right? Okay, now, do the flip. Do the flip. Don't stick around if you're not doing the flip, but if you're going, you gotta do the flip now. But anyways, maybe grab some snacks, maybe grab some bevies, and maybe get nice and cozy with a blanket, because this one is a doozy. I think it's important that we first talk about why so many people, myself included, love the first Last of Us game so much. Among my favorite games ever, there's very few that I hold in high regard for their story or characters. Typically, I am like 100% motivated by gameplay because I have a special medical condition that me and my brother Isaac refer to as Goopy Goblin Gamer Brain. Goopy Goblin Gamer Brain basically means that you have little to no patience for anything that isn't fun or engaging second-to-second gameplay. Unskippable cutscenes, long shitty tutorials, limited movement, trailing missions, slow-ass scripted prestige gameplay where you have to suffer through a boring-ass stealth section as a character that isn't Spider-Man. You know, the type of monotonous shit that more and more games have that take away control from the player just to service some mediocre-ass story while you just sit there being like, okay, but can we get back to the fun part where I blow up cars? That's Goopy Goblin Gamer Brain. And because of that, a lot of my favorite games, you know, Breath of the Wild, Mario 64, Bloodborne, Skate 2, yeah, technically all these games have some sort of story. Paul Rodriguez is dying of a rare skateboard-related illness, and the only cure, so you gotta go do a bunch of pop shove-its. Really, they just have motivators, you know, a thing to push you along to get you to experience whatever the gameplay mechanics have to offer. For Breath of the Wild, the initial motivator is as simple as beat Ganon. And even though the game barely has a story at all, that's enough to get you going, because then the game is frequently filled with all these little motivators like, hey, don't you want to climb on some stuff and find cool new outfits? Hey, don't you want to shoot guys in slow motion? Hey, don't you want to start some grass on fire? And the Goopy Goblin in my brain is like, hell yeah, burn all the grass, burn all the grass. But behind all that shit, there's still always the initial motivator of beat Ganon. So you never stop and ask yourself, what's the point while exploring and lose immersion? Because almost everything you do is building toward that central goal of beat Ganon. Even in a game like Tony Stark's, the motivator is as simple as, hey, do this list of things and teenage because fuck you, we said so. But you never stop and ask, hey, why am I picking up glowing skate letters? Because the gameplay is so ridiculously fun. But with The Last of Us, unlike my other favorite games, the characters and storytelling actually are the main motivators for my goblin-ass brain. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay is good and sometimes even great, but none of the Uncharted or Last of Us games have extremely engaging, deep gameplay systems that the devs can rely on for hours and hours and hours of countless entertainment like Mario 64 or Halo 3 or Phantom Pain. Like, there is a long laundry list of games that do shooting and platforming and stealth and melee combat and survival horror and puzzles much better and have much more interesting and rewarding gameplay than Uncharted or The Last of Us. At least I think. But because Naughty Dog is typically so good at pacing out those bombastic, putting in your pants action set pieces with quiet moments and puzzles, and now they're gonna talk and climb for a while, and now we're in the snow, ooh, brr, and now we're in Madagascar, ooh, it's hot here, and now we're on a train, wow, and now we're falling out of a plane, and now Elena's here, yes, I like her, she's so cool and funny, and oh, she's my mom now, yes, and Drake is my dad, yes, yes. They kind of Chris Angel mind freak your ass into thinking that the core gameplay throughout the whole game is deeper than it actually is, when in reality, I think they're just really good at playing to all of their different strengths equally and pacing them out in a very cinematic way that nobody else seems to really be able to perfectly replicate. Like, only Naughty Dog makes Naughty Dog games, for better or worse. Also, the Uncharted 4, Drake and Elena being my mom and dad bit was the one that spoils the end of Uncharted 4. Leave a comment in the comments down below if you don't think it was worth it. Also, the reason I said for better or worse about 10 seconds ago is because without the first Uncharted, a lot of these AAA cinematic third-person action games that take very clear and heavy inspiration from movies and TV for their storytelling methods and presentation, they might not exist, at least not in the same way. Because while I enjoy a lot of these games that have taken very clear inspiration from Naughty Dog, unfortunately, they also have taken things from Naughty Dog games that the group-covered goblin in my brain dislikes on Pinterest, like mindless quick-time event button prompts, or mindless fake climbing, or stupid, oh, now you can't run and you're forced.
Кстати, нам сегодня плохой отзыв написали в наш магазин. Короче, типа у нас просто в будние дни не работает вторая касса, у нас работает только одна касса. Типа была такая большая очередь, и одна женщина такая, типа, ну, короче, начала вот это вот: откройте вторую кассу. Главный вот это вот, ну, типа, старший продавец сказал, что нет, типа, мы не можем открыть вторую кассу, она, типа, не работает. Ну, не сказала, что не работает, но говорит, что, типа, нет, мы не можем открыть кассу. А та спрашивает, почему, а старший продавец особо не ответил. И та тетка, короче, пошла, написала нам плохой отзыв, сфоткала нас, ну, меня там не сфоткала, то есть я там в кадр не попала, но сфоткала, то есть, типа, что 2 человека на кассе, но при этом не может открыть вторую кассу. Так что вот так вот, ну, типа, она реально не работает в будние дни, типа, в чем проблема вот это вот постоять, подождать. Ну и то есть, типа, получается, она влепила нам 2 звезды. Просто за то, что не открыли вторую кассу, хотя, блин, она даже не была на выходных, она не видела, какие очереди на выходных. Да и, в принципе, просто еще не было такого прям сильного завала в магазине. Вообще, типа, сегодня плюс-минус было лайтово, но при этом, как бы, вот эта вот ее нетерплячка, я не знаю, типа, ну, блин, а то, что она еще сфоткала скрытно, блин, это как-то незаконно, что ли? А не, это влупила 1 звезду, что та, что другая. Трындец, конечно. Даже вот это вот описали, даже глаза не подняли из-за стола, господи, трындец. Там просто вот это вот ушел вот расклеивать ценники, ну типа это реплей. Ну блин, надо покупатели могут и подождать, потому что нужно выполнять свои обязанности за день. Расклеивать ценники на одежду. Могут как бы и подождать, я не знаю.
Forced to slowly walk because we want to show you how pretty our game is for the billionth time. And I'm just like, yeah, fucking sure, I don't care. Just let me use the grappling hook again, please, for the love of God. Some of you might remember that in my Rockstar's game design video, I referred to Naughty Dog games as linear roller coasters where the player is on a set path with a set story and is going to experience that set story in a predetermined sequence of events that the dog has curated for the player. I also talked about Lego a lot, saying that I like my open world games to have more freedom like a Lego bucket versus more linear Lego set games like Uncharted 2 or Portal 2, whatever the hell I was saying. Man, I'm always typing out words, mostly in Wing Dings and Comic Sans. But in this video, I want to slightly pivot that analogy from a roller coaster or a Lego set to a water slide, because who doesn't like getting wet with a couple of games? And every summer when I see a new water slide, I love going down on that thing, just like I love going down on a new Naughty Dog game every time one comes out. But if I go down that water slide more than once, its gameplay is still kind of fun, but it's usually not nearly as much fun as that first time where I didn't know exactly where that slide was taking me. Because now it's incredibly apparent just how much of that water slide isn't the fast-paced combat arenas where you maybe get to do a bunch of fun stuff, but instead boring-ass, fake-ass climbing sequences where I'm doing close to nothing except holding up on the analog stick and listening to people talk, which, look, Elena, I'm sorry, I know you're gonna be my mom later and everything, but like your graphics are still really very good, like especially your hair. But to get back to the thing I'm really trying to talk about, that first Last of Us game is the exception for me when it comes to Naughty Dog games. Because no matter how many times I go down on that slide, and I've gone down on that slide a lot. I even went down on that slide on grounded mode, which, Jesus Christ, that slide is full of broken bottles and bricks and gave me multiple lacerations on my hip bones. I always feel engaged and entertained by Joel and Ellie. I just don't get tired of them. I don't know if it's Neil's writing, or the chemistry between Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, or the power of the cell processor inside the Sony PlayStation 3, but god damn it, Naughty Dog, you freaking sniped my butt. You got a sniper spree, and these two characters could literally talk about anything, and I am here for it. So even though a lot of the gameplay in the first Last of Us is slowly opening drawers and cabinets by pressing triangle, and moving ladders and platters by pressing triangle, and opening the gate by pressing triangle, and starting the generator by pressing triangle, and the Chronicles of Riddick where he presses triangle a bunch in AAA cinematic third-person games where you just press triangle all the fucking time, it's Joel, Ellie, and their relationship that is the motivator to keep the goopy goblin in my brain happy and covered in copious amounts of goop. And even though the initial motivator of, hey, take this immune girl across the country to the Fireflies because she could be the key to saving the world is kind of cliche, and the real motivator becomes the blooming father-daughter relationship of Ellie and Joel, that, hey, take this girl across the country motivator still serves its purpose to make all these other moments along the way feel like they matter and have some forward momentum. Your motivation and drive is almost always in tandem with the characters you're spending time with, so you don't really stop during gameplay to ask, hey, what's the point of me looting supplies and picking up a 2x4 and bonking a guy in the head with said 2x4 in the middle of Pittsburgh? Because you know damn well while you're bonking Pittsburghians with a 2x4, you're trying to get this girl to the Fireflies, and these guys are in your path and trying to kill you, so you better head on over to Menards and pick up some more 2x4s. Save big money at Menards. Now, if you're not from the Midwest, you're not going to know what the hell just happened or what Menards is, but that's just something we all gotta work through together. In the Uncharted games, there's a major case of something called ludonarrative dissonance that I'm sure some of you have already heard of and are really tired of talking about. It's a term used to describe a situation where the story being told during gameplay conflicts with the story being told during cutscenes. Easiest example, Nathan Drake literally slaughters thousands of people throughout the series, and not once do the games ever attempt to start a serious conversation about how maybe the game's title should be Uncharted, Drake's Unfortunate Turn of Events. Uncharted 2, among a bunch of fucking dead bodies that I killed. Uncharted 3, Drake's... What the fuck is the third game called? Drake's decision to kill 1 billion men. Uncharted 4, a thief's ending of other people's lives. Fuck. And that's because the Uncharted games want to be Gears of War and Indiana Jones at the same damn time. It's kind of this unspoken thing where the game doesn't bring it up and it's just like, hey man, look, you don't tell anyone, I won't tell anyone either. It'll be fine, it'll be our little secret, just like this gator. But with The Last of Us, Naughty Dog made a very clear effort to address that disconnect, with game director Bruce Straley even confirming this in an interview. They want to talk about the gator under the bed in this game. And from the beginning moments where he denied family help on the road, to the final combat arenas where he's slaughtering Firefly soldiers with a volunteer fire department fireman's axe, all of that is Joel to a capital, italicized, really colorful, way too big Times New Roman J. Because Joel is a selfish, protective, and violent son bitch that will always protect his tribe no matter what, which A, makes him a perfect candidate for a third-person shooter game where you brutally murder people during gameplay and cutscenes, and B, helps to make him a more compelling anti-hero because although he is a major piece of shit, he also has this super tender daddy energy that comes out that you can empathize with. And because you play as Joel and spend time with him before you and Joel meet Ellie at the same time, that growth between the two characters really resonates with the player as well, and you genuinely care about them, which is a really fucking hard thing to pull off in video games. Empathy is one of the most difficult emotions for video games to get right because unlike movies, TV shows, or books, video game stories can't just be like, hey, the main character cares about this character for reasons X, Y, and Z, and so should you, and just be done with it, because you, the player, usually are the main character. So in Far Cry 3, Jason might love his girlfriend, but I don't give a shit about them. I don't know them. I don't love them. I don't care for them. And the game didn't spend the proper amount of time letting me get to know that person because the focus is on shooting and stabbing people in the neck bone and lighting animals on fire, which is fine because my goopy goblin brain loves all that shit, but don't expect me to care about someone just because you said so. Do people remember Far Cry 3 for Jason's girlfriend whose name I can't even remember? No, they remember it for Voss because I, the player, was actually there for the development of that relationship, and the game showed me reasons to care and pay attention and didn't just fucking tell me. But all of this is to say that it is so fucking impressive when a game like The Last of Us actually does get you to care about its characters, and it does get you to care about its universe, and you feel completely immersed in that world. And you don't stop to realize just how fucking boring the actual gameplay of looting and mindlessly pressing triangle at everything is, because Joel says, we should look around for supplies. So it feels like you should look around for supplies. And it feels urgent and real and grounded. Pun intended. I wrote that in my script. Everything is planned. Even this. Snake noise. And even though a lot of the gameplay is that very boring press triangle type beat, the game is consistent enough with the limited ways you do interact with the world, and it ends up using those simple mechanics in clever ways, like when Ellie sees the giraffes and knocks down the ladder. At this point, you've done the whole ladder business with Ellie like a gajillion times, so it's very likely in this surprising moment that Joel and the player share the same emotion of, oh shit, what's going on? I gotta get up there. Which is such a simple thing, but it ends up being so effective because that emotion is communicated using the actual interactive game mechanics and not just a cutscene. While also still being a fun shooter game where you throw bricks at people's jawbones because remember, at its core, these are all still Gears of War. The Last of Us is just a much more interesting and well-written excuse to go shoot bad guys than Uncharted or Gears of War because you get to go buy 2x4s at Menards.
I'm all for a barter
I think for most players, even if you disagree with some of Joel's
pieces
decisions
of
throughout the
shiny
course of the
paper.
game, you can at
Anyway,
least understand
my friend
them
has some
or
more
see the
goods to
motivation
trade.
behind
If we can
them,
hunt him
so you
some
never
deer.
felt super
And by
conflicted
we,
while
I
controlling
obviously
Joel.
mean
But at the
you.
very end of the game,
I have
that
enough on my
changes.
plate.
The Last of Us
Thanks,
forces you
partner.
to do something
You're the
you
best.
really might not want to do. Kill the surgeon that's going to harvest Ellie's immune brain in an attempt to get a vaccine to change the world just so you can save the life of your now surrogate daughter. And I think it completely earns that moment 100%. Because even if you disagree with capital and italicized and way too colorful and whatever the hell I said, Times New Roman J. Joel, part of you fucking gets it because it's Ellie, dude. You know her. You know her fears. You know her desires. You know her trauma. You know her sense of humor. You know she could whistle now.
I'm whistling.
Good. You can notice again.
The Last of Us double front tug gainer 900 nailed that shit, dude. In my opinion, it's like the definition of a perfect ending. So when you have an ending as powerful as intentionally open-ended as the first Last of Us, you've already kind of shot yourself in the foot bone when you decide to make a sequel. But me and every other fan still shit themselves when they announce part 2. Like, what? What are they gonna do? What's gonna happen? Is Buckley gonna be there? Well, it turns out Joel's gonna go meet God right quick. Well, I guess probably definitely the devil. Ellie's gonna go get her some revenge, and you bet your sweet ass Buckley's in it. Oh my god, dude, the second I saw Buckley was in this game, I was seriously like, alright, did I do that? Like, did my dogs in video games video actually affect the fate of The Last of Us Part 2? I'm not saying that it did, but I'm just saying, if it did, maybe a pretty quirky and crazy game effect. That's all I'm saying. Right. Anyway, THQ referred to The Last of Us Part 2 as Naughty Dog's double album, because usually their games like Uncharted 4 or The Last of Us 1 will run you about 12 to 14 bucks as in hours, and The Last of Us Part 2 is 25 to 30 hours compared to
Grab yourself those
band
supplies.
makes a double album that is like 25 to 30 songs compared to the usual 10 to 15. You fucking get it, blah blah blah. Jacob's type of words and wing digs again. Who cares, am I right? To say that the story and motivators of Part 2 are a little more complicated and widespread and less intimate than Part 1 would be a massive understatement. And I don't even mean that in necessarily a negative way right now. I'm just stating the straight up fact that the story is not as simple as the first. And I think in order to properly discuss Part 2's game design, we first do a little recap, because story is such a large part of Naughty Dog's game. I will now recap the story of Last of Us Part 2 as quickly as possible. Okay, so you're Ellie from the first game, but 4 years later, and you don't really know her anymore. This girl named Abby comes along with her friend from Seattle and kills your dad. Joel's he's not your dad, he's technically your dad. Your relationship is really weird now, though, because he obviously lied to you at the end of the first game, and you can tell. And now you and your new girlfriend, Dina, this is Dina, by the way, you guys are going to travel from Jackson, Wyoming, all the way to Seattle, Washington, to chase after Joel's brother, Tommy, who's going after Abby to get revenge, which is what Ellie also wants to do. Oh, shit, we're already in Seattle now. Okay, now you gotta figure out where Abby is, and in the process, kill every single one of her friends, including one that's super pregnant, and also a bunch of other people who have names now. Also, there's a Colt, and sometimes he plays the guitar, and Dina's here, and she's pregnant, and yeah, Dina's pregnant, and Jesse's, I didn't fucking talk about Jesse. Jesse is the dad, and he's, I'm gonna be real with you, Jesse is not important at all, because Abby comes after Ellie, and after Ellie killed all of Abby's friends, and Jesse, this is falling apart. Abby fucking shoots. Abby, I'm so tired. Abby shoots Jesse in the face and shoots Tommy in the back of the face. Okay, so now we're gonna do a cliffhanger and rewind the clock back to Seattle Day 1, and you're gonna play as that Abby girl that killed Joel, and you learn that Abby's dad was the surgeon that you were forced to kill at the end of the first game as Joel, and he's actually a really good guy because he saved zebras, and he was wearing blue, and it was clean, not green and dirty. You sicko, you sicky, you weirdy freaky, you freaky weirdo. Get him out of here! And at first your only motivator during this part is get through this section as Abby so that you can get back to the Ellie cliffhanger. But eventually the motivator for Abby becomes save your friend Owen and save these kids Yar and Len because you feel a moral obligation to after they saved your life, and maybe you're also seeking some sort of redemption for brutally torturing and murdering Joel as an act of revenge. Wait, but anyway, do that though, Abby did. And also, Ellie killed all her friends, including the pregnant one at this point, so you might be motivated to kill her in this boss fight. I don't know. It's up to you. Except it's not, because this is an extremely linear game that only ends win-win. You get game over if you try to do anything other than kill the people we want you to kill in the exact way we want you to kill them, even though we're also clearly saying that the cycle of violence is destructive with how we're presenting the story and themes and cutscenes and gameplay. Sorry. I think I blacked out for a second. What was I saying? Something about saving big money on Menard? And then Abby's about to kill Ellie's pregnant girlfriend Gina, just like Ellie killed Abby's pregnant friend. And then Levy's like, don't do it, no. And then Abby's like, okay, well, you better get the fuck out of my town. So now he plays Ellie again, and you're on a farm, and you and Gina have a really cute ass baby. But oh no, you experience PTSD from Joel's death. And then one-eyed Tommy comes skulking around the house and wants you to go after Abby again in California. And you're initially like, nah, but then you're like, I'm gonna fuck with you, even though Gina is like, wait, are you fucking kidding me? And then you play as Abby again for like 2 seconds, trying to contact and regroup with the Fireflies from the first game in California with Lev, but oh no, you get captured by the Rattlers, who are these slaver dudes that don't matter at all, except this guy does because the internet loves it. And now he plays Ellie again, and oh no, you get captured by the Rattlers, but don't worry, you fight them off, and then you kill a bunch more of them, and then you find Abby, and you force her to fight you by threatening the Lev, which is nice, even though you and Abby are both already half dead. And now you have to fight Abby in a boss fight, and she bites off 2 of your fingers, and then when you're about to kill her because you're being forced to, otherwise you're getting game over. In a failed state, you have a flashback of Joel, and you decide to let her go. And there's a bunch of, I didn't even talk about all the flashbacks. In this game, there's a ton of flashbacks and flashbacks within flashbacks. I'm sorry. Come on, Christensen, get it together. You call yourself the Yoga Ball Gamer. Eddie calls me the Yoga Ball Gamer. I don't like it. And then you return to the farm as Ellie, and Dina and the cute baby are gone now, and then you try to play the guitar, but remember, Abby chomped off your fingers, so you can't play the guitar. And then Ellie sets the guitar down, and she walks outside, and she's walking outside, and the camera pans up, and the credits roll. Okay, bye. So, yeah. It's a lot to think about. And also remember, the end of part 1 presented a pretty crucial conflict that could drastically affect how you feel about Joel us, bloody nose, all that shit, which I think is what Naughty Dog clearly intended with how sudden and shocking Joel's death is. Some other people might not exactly feel that way about Joel biting the dust, and might not be connecting with Ellie's bloodlust very much, thus making this potentially a pretty complicated motivator for the people that maybe don't really want to kill a bunch of people that have names. But on the flip side, that's the exact thing that a lot of people have pointed to as being a positive feature of the game, including the person that wrote the campaign out of IGN. The fact that you're forced to carry out these extremely violent actions that you most likely disagree with during an extremely linear story that you have no say in, that's the exact thing that made it affecting for him, which I'll rotate back to that in a bit. For me at this point, I was only feeling partially in tandem with Ellie because while I was sad that Joel died, I was sad for a different reason. I was more like, damn Naughty Dog, if you're killing off Joel this early into the game, then the bar of my expectations is definitely going up because you're gonna have to replace him with someone or something that is pretty damn interesting to keep the goopy goblin in my brain nice and covered, plenty of goop, and entertained while playing a Last of Us game for reasons I just spent 100,000 dog years explaining in chapter 1 of this video. How do I change the time coded linear to dog years? Needless to say, I was extremely curious where Neil's violent water slide was going to take me to splashing in the face with Joel's death, and it turns out it was taking me to the kiddie pool. The lesson here is that every person you meet, every person you kill, will have their own Ellie or their own Joel, just like Abby and her dad, who will then save zebras. There's two sides to every story. This story is about loss, destructive cycle of violence, and forgiveness. And we're going to explore those themes in gameplay by having you pop pills to get better headshots and more violent melee kills. It turns out, dying might actually be kind of bad. Because war might be kind of bad too? What the fuck? Okay, hold on though, teacher. I maybe can't read cursive good yet or do math at all, but I've seen Pocahontas. I've seen Princess Mononoke. I know that violence and dying and war and revenge are all bad and toxic things. So what are you showing me that's emotionally engaging or thought-provoking using the interactive nature of video games like you did with the relationship of Ellie and Joel in the first game? Well, I mean, there's some stuff, you know, like the idea for a dual narrative mirrored story where you play as two different characters on opposing sides of a conflict as a way to empathize with all the characters is a really cool concept in theory, but in practice I think it all kind of falls apart in this game because of one word: consistency, agency, gameplay. Okay, so 3 words. Like, look at this boss fight that happens at the end of Abby's 3 days. It's supposed to be this really tense moment where we finally built back to that Ellie cliffhanger, but now because you're playing as Abby, your objective is to kill Ellie. And because you've spent time with Abby, you probably empathize with her more. You're supposed to be conflicted, I'm guessing, and be like, ah, shit, but I was Ellie before, but now I'm Abby. Ah, rats, I'm conflicted. But regardless of how you feel about either of these two characters, the game only proceeds one way. If Ellie kills Abby because you fuck up as the player, which, by the way, killing Abby was your motivation and goal for the first 12 hours of this plot, that's now a game over screen, and you just retry until you act out your role in this high school play correctly. Oh, god damn it. Line. Can I have my line, please? But again, like the IGN reviewer said, that's the point, right? That this dance between interactivity and an unalterable story made for a much more affecting experience than if I watched it all unfold in a movie. Yeah, totally. Okay, so I'm gonna walk around and press triangle at a bunch of things and kill every human in fine horse there way possible. Because screw it, the goopy goblin in my brain quickly recognized that the gameplay made it feel very satisfying and rewarding to do that efficiently, and the enemies are gonna scream out each other's names as they die and get blown up and just murdered in the most grotesque ways the PS4 could possibly render. But unless it's a character that Ellie kills in a cutscene, it basically didn't happen. Because Ellie chooses to spare her greatest enemy, who she has no real reason to empathize with, only after she's killed literally dozens of people with no hesitation or mercy at all. I was with Abby for like 12 hours, spending time with her and getting to know things from her side, like how her dad saved a zebra, but Ellie wasn't there. Oh, but now Ellie can And if you think I'm being ridiculous or nitpicky or childish, A, you're not wrong because I am an insane person that hasn't left their apartment very much as of late. But ampersand sign, the only reason I'm beating this drum so hard right now is because even more so than the first game, this game really seems to want to talk about the violence because it is a very central part of this story. So if Naughty Dog wants to talk about the gator under the bed, I'm gonna fucking talk about the gator under the bed. Setting aside the ludonarrative dissonance shit for a second, it baffles my mind that with this particular story and this particular subject matter that Naughty Dog chose to tackle with Part 2, why wouldn't you take at least a little more advantage of the fact that you're a fucking video game? Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PlayStation 2 not only has better stealth mechanics than the Naughty Dog game in 2020, but also made me think about my violent actions and my personal cycle.
You must be Crip's friend. I'll try not to hold that against you. Your name's Maggie. Thanks for coming.
She's back. Jesus, what are you doing? It's me. What the hell?
I missed, didn't I? Don't come in like a bull through the fence next time, you old fool. Your friend here managed to get it right.
Lightning Maggie Fike. We all thought you were dead.
Yeah, so did I. Guess you'll be wanting a drink. Come on, give me a hand.
Biggest mistake of my life, not marrying this woman when I had the chance.
Yeah, you always did have a colorful memory of things. Anyway, it's too late now. As you can see, I have gone and hit my prime.
Well, I heard what happened with Hickson. Evil son of a bitch. Where you been all this time?
Recovering. Lying low. Couldn't barely get out of bed for 6 months.
And your nephew?
Lem. Still in jail, as far as I know.
You seen Danny Lee yet?
Oh, yeah, I've seen him. Cooking for the Braithwaites now. Guess me and him were done.
Well, there's always Marcel. Heard he's not working for Leclerc anymore. Feller's a windbag, but he knows his way around the still.
Yeah, maybe. Feels like it'd be much easier for everyone if I just stayed gone. But life ain't about being easy. I am taking back what's mine. I need legs, though, and I need muscle.
Oh, you'll get that one, this one, and more, I promise you. 2 of us already got a nice little business going.
Long as you know, won't be pretty. I don't do pretty no more.
So, what's the buy-in?
First things first, I need a cookhouse.
What's wrong with this place? Been empty for a while now.
No, I need a good basement. I reckon I could try and get one of my old spots back up and running. Bastards seized them all after the raid. You buy me back one of those, I reckon you'll have a fair enough investment. Teach you everything I know. So what you say? All right. Why don't I just leave that with you, let you sleep on it. But I need to move on that soon.
Can I offer you a ride, Miss Fike?
Suppose so.
Maybe we can stop for a drink on the way.
We just had a drink.
I know. Now I want another one.
Some things don't change.
ready to go. Supplies are looking healthy right now. Good stuff. I swear, you can sell water to a drowning man. The Wanderer returns.
Violence as the player more than Part 2 ever did, because it did it with fucking gameplay. During the boss fight with the Sorrow, this ghostly apparition, poltergeist, Casper the Friendly Ghost, paranorman motherfucker, you slowly walk up this river while all these familiar faces start walking toward you like zombies in this really haunting way, and you just gotta deal with it. And when I slowly realized that these were all the specific enemies that I chose to kill, it blew my 8th grader brain out the back of my fat head and made me feel something. Because I knew that during gameplay, I didn't have to kill any of these people. It was my choice to do that. And that game came out in 2004. Really let that sink in. Oh, but in Part 2, you can go prone and grass and use silencers now. 2004! In Part 2, there's a chapter during Abby's section where you visit the world. And as I was walking into it, I was totally paranormal. You know, I thought because the enemies in Part 2 actually have names and call out to each other and say shit like, oh no, Jerry! They were going to use
for
that
some more
and
provisions.
unzip some of the bags.
Have a look around.
Show some of the faces of the enemy character.
Ain't no
models
other
that I
outfit
recognize
beats their
because
prices.
There's only a select amount of them that repeat themselves. And the game would be like, yeah, Toby got fucking stabbed in the neck by some girl with a tattoo on her arm that called him a fucker, and Jerry watched him die. And I'd be like, damn, you know, maybe I didn't have to
You like
stab
that?
Toby in the neck, you know, maybe I could have snuck around him. But did the game do any of that? Nope! They just unzipped a bag and talked about some dude named Danny who I had never moment in the game, like, what the fuck? You had the T-ball set up. All you had to do was just whack the
Good
ball
choice.
off.
Good
You know how in
choice.
Abby's section, there's that cute-ass dog Bear that you can play fetch with, and there's that cute-ass dog Alice that you can play fetch with, and how
Keep
the
looking.
game's framing
Let me know
is,
if there's
like,
anything
pretty
else.
heavy-handed, how it's like, oh, that dog we forced you to kill in a QuickTime event to proceed with our game is actually kind of cute, huh? They didn't really get my butt with that. You know, there wasn't really a sniper spree there. But when replaying the hospital infiltration section as Ellie, I killed a dog that looked like Bear, and a lady screamed out, "Bear!" And I felt fucking awful, dude, which is so powerful. And you know why I actually felt something? Because it was my choice to explode that dog, and that interaction with the lady screaming out Bear happened in fucking gameplay, not a cutscene or a QuickTime event. Fuck violence in cutscenes. Dude, all my homies hate violence in cutscenes. People say this game is brave for subverting expectations by killing off Joel, and brave for forcing you to throat punch people as Abby, and brave for having Ellie's character go down
Forget
this
to buy something?
vengeful path of violence and destruction, and brave for showcasing that violence in a realistic way that other games won't. But fuck all that. That's not brave at all. You know what would have been brave? A AAA game that didn't resort to mindless
there,
violence
friend.
that doesn't
How can I
actually
help
mean anything as like the primary gameplay mechanic. That's why I said this game made me feel like how BioShock Infinite did. Because like Infinite, The Last of Us Part 2 also made a decision to highlight the violent actions of the protagonist as a central part of the story, as a way to emotionally manipulate the player, but commits to none of those themes in actual gameplay. It's still mindless shooting. It doesn't mean anything. It's still exactly like every other AAA game. When you're playing the gameplay, it may as well be fucking Call of Duty. And I'm not saying that violent video games are bad or shouldn't exist or any dumb shit like that, because no, I fucking love violent video games. I'm one of the few people that still acknowledges Max Payne 3's existed, and that's like the most violent shit ever. And there's plenty of linear games focused around violent gameplay mechanics like Shadow of the Colossus that use those mechanics in a consistent way to tell a powerful story, where the violent motivations of the player and protagonist to go kill a bunch of giant monsters because, hey, it's a video game and it looks fun and cool and I gotta save the princess, right? Is a central part of that
Uważajcie,
story,
bo
and
obok
that
obozu jest
setup,
jakaś
and
laska.
slowly gets flipped on its head through gameplay and ends up affecting the player in a really powerful and emotional way. But what I am saying is that I think this is some very shallow, outdated, and laughably hypocritical gameplay for a game that chose to tell this story and chose to tackle these themes and these lessons about the destructive cycle of violence and forgiveness that people that love the game seem to keep claiming the game is trying to teach you and get you to understand, which I agree with them that I think very much the game is trying to do that, because if it's not, what is the point of so many choices that were made in this story? What's super interesting is in that same Bruce Straley interview I mentioned in chapter 1 of this video where he talked about ludonarrative dissonance and Naughty Dog games. He also said, and I quote, "Can you create a game that's as interesting and character-driven and compelling as an Uncharted story or Last of Us story without shooting? I think you can." Again, the concept has to be, how can I create a rich enough world to allow for interesting core mechanics? So, in light of that quote, other than killing people in very violent ways and maybe successfully sneaking around them to avoid conflict altogether, what other interesting core mechanics are in this 25 to 30 hour long game? After beating the game, you can play through all the combat encounters back to back. And the ironic thing about me going off for so long in the last chapter about how the game handles violence in relation to its story and themes is that the combat encounters were still my geeky goblin-ass brain's favorite part of this whole ass game, because it's the most gamey part of the game, where, you know, you actually get to do stuff with the controller and play the game. How long do you think just the combat encounters took me to play through all of them back to back on top? Go ahead, think about it, mull it over. 3 hours and 22 minutes. It took you 3 hours and 22 minutes. And does any of you saying that, wow, that automatically means pizza bad, huh, guys? Because no, that'd be dumb as hell. Not every pizza has to be all combat all the time. Video game pizzas can be all sorts of things. This one, for example, has garlic stuffed crust. But the point I am trying to make is that this game is twice as long as the first. And with the low percentage of time spent in combat that the game has, my goofy goblin brain really needed to like all this other stuff on the pizza in order to have a good time eating this giant ass pizza. And I just don't think we had a very good time eating this pizza, Twitch chat. Seattle Day 1 is one of my least favorite Naughty Dog water slides ever because it's this big, super slow chunk where the pacing is like at a glacial pace and Naughty Dog plays pretend at being an open world type game with this wide linear level design without any sort of new and engaging or innovative open world type gameplay, which is hilariously ironic when Rockstar literally did the opposite thing with the missions in Red Dead 2. Like, use that fucking rope more, man. That rope is seriously amazing. It's so goddamn cool. Some talented ass person at Naughty Dog probably worked $1 billion dog years to make the most amazing rope physics ever, and yet there's barely any puzzles or traversal situations where you actually get to use the damn thing in fun, interesting, innovative, new gameplay moments that no other game has. I count like one puzzle where the game even began to tap into that rope's amazing potential. You had to throw bricks, to break glass, to throw the rope, which also do the fucking glass in this game. I know it goes against my cardinal rule, but I can eat the glass in this game. It's so goddamn good. I would break every vending machine and car window. It never got old because the sound and animation, breaking the glass was like the only thing that kept me from shooting myself in real life during boring ass looting sections. That was really dark and aggressive. I'm sorry. This game just gets me fucking riled up. Can you imagine having a rope during regular exploration and combat? Are you kidding me? Like crafting a temporary grappling hook on the end of it using some of your valuable supplies, adding some risk reward, interesting decision making where shit, but maybe I could reach a place that could have even more supplies. Or using it in combat to like sneak behind a zombie and tie it to something so it can't chase you, or to like set up zombie traps like the fucking rattlers do at the end of the game, or even setting up a simple tripwire to fuck with zombie boys like the ones that are already in the game, or setting up a more elaborate rope trap for human enemies like the one Joel gets stuck in the first game, or the one Ellie gets stuck in the second game. Nope, no innovative gameplay mechanics here. Just a bunch of fucking codes that you type in to open stuff. Like, is that really a puzzle? Barring a couple exceptions that actually get kind of creative and actually do kind of make you pay attention and sit down and look at a fucking door or something, is finding a note that has a number and typing that number into a thing, is that a fun or interesting core gameplay mechanic? Well, apparently the game thinks it's pretty groundbreaking because you do it over and over and over and over again. Jesus Christ. By the way, quick PSA, buried in the accessibility options is a setting called auto pickup. Now you're gonna wanna go ahead and flick that son bitch on because I don't understand why it isn't on by default. There's never a situation where you don't wanna pick something up. There's no interesting decision making or like an in-depth inventory management system like an actual survival horror games or anything like that. The game only lets you carry so many of each item, and you can't strategically carry less of one thing to carry more of something else or anything like that because they're all independent of each other. So having Ellie or Abby just scoop shit up while walking past it is a godsend and saves your tiny little poor gamer thingy from mashing triangle every 2 seconds because one of the most popular songs from this double album is the smash hit Loot Scootin' Boogie by Brett between the triangle button. That Naughty Dog Chris Angel illusion recipe to create great pacing and a sense of forward momentum that typically hides how boring the actual gameplay is of holding up and pressing triangle and stuff, having Ellie or Abby slowly open another cabinet or drawer just to have to press triangle again to actually pick the thing up, just like in Red Dead 2. Like, cool AAA games, I see you, I see how realistic this looks. I'm sure a really talented animator worked a shit ton of hours and maybe didn't get properly compensated for their work to make this look that good. But can we maybe speed it up? Because I don't really care how realistic it looks the 100th time I do it after doing it for 14 and a half hours. Am I being unfair? Am I being too harsh? I really don't feel like I am. I know that the visuals and animation are the best in the industry right now. I would never deny that. It is a fucking technical marvel that this game looks like this while running on a console that came out the year I looked like this. But I know deep down in my plums that the actual core gameplay would be criticized so much more if it wasn't for all this fancy eye candy, just like with Red Dead 2, which I'm saying this fully aware that I make that same claim on other really well-reviewed games. And again, the Goopy Goblin situation, if I'm attracted to a game because of its gameplay, like Super Mario 64, or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, or Left 4 Dead 2, or Metal Gear Solid 3, or Undertale, I don't care if the visuals look dated, because the actual core gameplay continues to be interesting and engaging. Remember, the first Last of Us is the exception to the Goopy Goblin being a ghoul or whatever the hell is going on here. I don't fucking know, it's bees and saga. And like the first Last of Us with the pairing of Ellie and Joel, the engagement level for so many parts of Part 2 relied so heavily on relationships that I wanted to care about so bad, but just couldn't, because honestly, it seems like the game couldn't even care. They just sidelined the fuck out of pregnant Dina compared to characters like Tess or even Bill in the first game. Dina doesn't seem to have any thoughts or motivations that hold actual significant importance to the plot at all, other than bailing Ellie out of jail and blindly agreeing and supporting Ellie all the time and saying shit like, "You're so stupid, I love you," while Ellie maybe stops talking like Batman for maybe 5 seconds and plays the song on the guitar. Like, what? And the icing on the cake is that after you literally disintegrate people during combat, Dina will have the audacity to be like, "Did you recognize any of them?" And Ellie will be like, "No, fucker." And I'll be like, "Yeah! That's literally right of this! That man has been boiled down to a red paste all over the wall!" There's too many songs on this double album that could basically be swapped out for one another because they're blank canvases that exist solely just to either die to serve the game's themes or keep the player company while they blow people's heads off because this is still Gears of War. Like, especially Mel. Dude, what in the fuck, why in the world is an 8-month pregnant woman being deployed out into the field to fight either murderous cultists or fucking zombies? Like, dude, I will die on this hill. It is so ridiculous that not only someone that is 8 months pregnant, 8 months, a pregnant medic, like a valued, super valued member of this type of society. Have you seen a Chandler? Homie is squirting and farting everywhere. It is not safe outside. And even with all of these criticisms, I'm still slightly conflicted because at the same time, the game can succeed at getting me to like some characters like Yara and Lev. I actually liked Abby and Lev a lot once they were paired up and got going. Their chemistry is fucking great and is that typical Naughty Dog good that you have come to expect with all these games, because basically the same recipe from the first game that came out in 2013 without being quite as interesting as the first game. Owen was okay, Jesse seemed cool, I guess. Even Manny and Mel were like, whatever, they're fine. I haven't even mentioned Isaac once throughout this whole long-ass video, if that tells you how important he actually is to the plot of the game. But barring the flashbacks of everything, there's not a single scene or gameplay moment in Part 2 involving any of the new characters that emotionally sniped my butt like the fully realized character development of Ellie and Joel did in the first game, that was not only seen as a spectator, but felt as a player. Those flashbacks were the most compelling moments for me by far, because for me, that was the compelling thing for the entirety of Part 1's experience as a video game. So for me, after the credits rolled on Part 2, the most interesting aspect of this entire sprawling-ass, giant-ass game about love and hate and cycles of violence and war and revenge and loss and forgiveness is easily the conversation of, okay, Ellie has known about Joel's lie for a while now and is finally starting to forgive Joel the night before he died. And Ellie still chose to go do all this extremely heinous shit that you as the player are forced to act out after Joel's death. And how should not only Ellie, but you feel about it? Basically, okay, so what was the point of it all? I didn't want to do any of this. I didn't want to kill and torture Nora with a pipe. I didn't want to drown Abby, even though I feel like it makes way more sense narratively for The game made that extremely crystal clear as frequently as possible. I have nothing and want nothing to do. Ellie is the true villain of this story because she's become such a selfish, short-sighted, immature, and just straight-up evil shithead. Which I think is kind of the point, right? That Joel, her father figure, made her this way with his own violent actions and lies and deception. You know, the whole cycle of violence thing that keeps spinning around that Abby finally broke out of when she decided to spare Dina because of Lev's influence, and Ellie finally broke out of after having a miraculous flashback while drowning someone. If the point was to intentionally transform a character I once admired into a despicable piece of shit without fully committing to that transformation in a consistent way, just to convey some elementary level half-assed lessons on violence and empathy and forgiveness and love and hate, while still being a mindless, outdated, and cowardly third-person shooter, then I really only have one fucking thing left to say. In The Last of Us 1, I became Joel. In The Last of Us Left Behind, I became Ellie. In The Last of Us Part 2, I became disappointed. Big gulps, huh? Anyways, thanks for watching my video.